Welcome to the channel, guys. Welcome back. We are so glad that you joined us today, and welcome to all of our new people who have just joined our YouTube family. We are so glad and honored and blessed and humbled that you would join our family and spend some time with us. Today we are going to be in the pantry. I've been working really hard in my pantry, rearranging everything, getting it set up, and anybody can do this. I promise you, if you have a spare room in your house, if you have a little shed, if you have a space, a hallway, this can be done literally anywhere. If you have a laundry room, you could take out your your washer and dryer and you could change it into a pantry and put your washer and dryer in a spare closet or somewhere else. I've done all of those things in the past, so anybody can do this. You do not need a big pantry. I don't have a big pantry to do this. I converted a spare room off of the kitchen to do this. So I'm gonna jump into it. I'm really excited to show you this setup because I think you can take some of these ideas here and run with it and just make it your own. Make it your own. You're gonna come up with way better ideas even than I have here. And I'm also going to be giving you an update and some things that we're going to be adding to the pantry, but I'm really excited where we are at this point with our pantry. We've been eating off of it for a while now, and I'm so excited for where it's at. Let's just jump into it. Let's get started. My first shelf here is my coffee. It's very important, very important. Our soup stock, anything beef related is going here on this shelf, and you can see I have 2 shelves full. That is with eating from it. We had 3 and we ate this one down, but we just had another cow processed, fortunately and unfortunately due to circumstances. So we're going to be working towards getting these shelves filled up. I have a shelf and 3/4 here to fill up, and then my beef broth shelf my goal will have been met. I can go back and add a second layer. That's what you save these boxes for, your canning boxes, sorry. Your canning boxes, you want to save those because these are perfect for adding that second layer here. If you're new to the channel and you're seeing rings on the jars, don't freak out. There are some people that store jars with rings on. These jars have all been cleaned off, wiped down, scrubbed, and put the ring stuck on loosely. That's how I prefer to store my rings. Let's move over to our next shelf, and this is the really cool part. So welcome to my little hallway. What we have created here is just a little alleyway hallway, and I absolutely love it because it is the best use of space. And then this goes all the way back here, guys. So excited about it. On my window, if you're converting a spare room, on my window is a thick foam board. We just got that from the hardware store. Put that foam board in the window so that insulates it. It keeps the temperature really steady in this room. I put a heavy drape here on the window as well, and that just keeps the light totally out of this room, so it's well insulated and there's no light getting in. So do you want to show them what's on this shelf?
Teddies.
So on this shelf we have some of our canned potatoes from last year that we did, some canned sweet potatoes, and then up here is more potatoes that we have been stocking up from the store. My goal here with these 2 shelves is to make this all potatoes 2 deep. You can see we've already put some boxes in here and started to layer these up, but I want these shelves to be at least 2 deep in potatoes. So if you're new to our family, we eat a whole foods diet, and so you're going to notice our pantry might be slightly different than other pantries that you might see on YouTube. Everybody's pantry is going to be suited to what you eat, but our family, we eat a whole foods diet, so they're going to be very purposeful shelves that we've designated for certain things. So this is the potato shelf, and we've designated it for such. And then down here are our green beans, also just some collard greens and some kale from last year that we put away from the garden, but mostly it's green beans. And what we've been doing this year to add to it is just buying canned green beans from the store. And I would like to see this shelf all the way deep in green beans. I think that would be really, really great. If you like spinach or collards or anything else, I would add that to our green section of our pantry. And I just want to see that loaded up. Up on the top, you're going to just notice that that's just where I store all of my extra canning jars, my working canning jars that I'm using to fill the shelves. And in our middle section, we still have some business supplies. This is still all of our website supplies here. So some of these shelves are going to be getting emptied off here pretty soon, and we're going to be having a new office space in our garage, and then these shelves will be open and available for me to fill up some of these canning jars and get more food here in this middle section, which will be super great. So okay, so our next shelf, this is our pumpkin shelf, and I canned up all of these jars of pumpkin last fall and this past winter, and I plan on doing that again. How I got all of my pumpkin. So I went to a roadside stand and I talked to the farmer there. He wasn't doing anything else with his pumpkins. He had already sold off all that he was going to sell off. I made him an offer to take the rest of his pumpkins, and I brought them back home and I brought them into my pantry, filled up my whole entire pantry with pumpkins in the wintertime, and little by little I pulled from those pumpkins and canned them and put them away. So that's what you're seeing here. I would like to add a little bit more pumpkin right in here, but that is really exciting. That was definitely a goal met this year. This is a new shelf that we just decided to designate. We are designating this shelf for corn. We did plant and grow corn this year, but it wasn't a total success in that we didn't get to put away a lot of corn. So we were inspired, though, because we do enjoy corn so much, to go ahead and designate a whole shelf for corn. So that's what this shelf is going to be. And this is actually 3 deep here on this shelf, so that's really nice. Just have a couple spaces to fill in here. This shelf down here is for pineapple, and I definitely want to have this about 3 deep in pineapple. I have some new cases of pineapple coming, but we go through pineapple really, really often. Pineapple is a staple here for our smoothies, for a sweetener in our smoothies, and also just for a snack. It's so handy and easy just to take a can of pineapple and just pop it open. And just the kids love it. I love it. We keep it in the refrigerator so it's nice and cold, and it just offers a really good sweet snack during the day. So I have more cases of pineapple coming, and as well we pick some up from our local store. So that shelf is going to be all pineapple. And then my bottom shelf is all sauce, red sauce. These are a couple old jars of ketchup that I canned that we'll use up. But I like to do all different types. There's diced tomatoes in here, there's crushed tomatoes, there's actual sauce in here as well. Just anything sauce related. These little tomato paste jars are just really great and handy to have. I just have all of that kind of stuff down here. And this salsa actually goes up here. I'm seeing. That's those 3 shelves. Moving on over here, you're going to see our chicken shelf. And this is a whole shelf like our beef shelf. I've designated all of this whole entire shelf for chicken. That means chicken, actually shredded chicken from our chickens. And this fall, it's also going to include other poultry like our ducks, and probably some turkey will be on this shelf as well. So this will be all poultry, and it includes chicken stock or duck stock, and also like any bone broths from the poultry will go here. And it's just, I think this is really good. Soups, guys, are really where it's at, and broths and stocks and bone broths, you can make so many different meals from that. You can make gravies, you can make soups, you can add vegetables to it. It's really a great stretcher when you're talking about feeding a family. And it's also, I mean, just so easy, just a big pot of soup or dumplings or gravy over some biscuits, and you have a hearty, delicious meal, and it has so much protein in it. It's just so good for you. So that was the thinking behind these two shelves that you're seeing right here. Over here, moving on to this shelf, this is a new shelf that I've just set up and designated, and I'm working on, and this is my salsa shelf. So you might be saying, well, why don't you just make your own salsa? Well, we probably will be making some salsa in the future. I do have some tomatoes put up from our garden this year that I'll probably be pulling out of the freezer at some point this fall or winter and doing some salsa. But when you're shopping for a pantry and you're shopping price per ounce or price per pound, and you're trying to be conscious and aware of your price points, sometimes it really does pay to just buy the food and put it in the pantry, especially right now when food is available. It does pay to do that. And sometimes, like, if you didn't grow a lot of tomatoes, I say this about a lot of different things. If you didn't grow a lot of tomatoes, then actually to go to the store and to buy the tomatoes and then to buy all of your ingredients that you need to put into your salsa and then put them into your jars and take all the time to do that, you might have been better off to just buy the jar of salsa already made. And I know that kind of goes against the grain, and it goes against some of the philosophy of home canning and home preservation, but it is the truth, guys. So just be smart and be wise with, one, your time. There's only so much of you to go around, and two, your resources. If you're going and you're buying vegetables to can or to preserve, make sure that that's actually making sense and that you're not spending more money buying vegetables and putting them up and preserving them than you would just to buy something already made. And the only contingent in that is know your ingredients. Make sure when you're buying things that are already packaged at the store, make sure you're reading through your ingredients. Make sure they're whole, good ingredients. The simpler, the better. The less ingredients, the better. And there's any kind of long, crazy words on there, kind of avoid those things, because you definitely don't want to be feeding your family poor quality foods or foods that are going to work against you for keeping your family healthy, like high fructose corn syrup is a big one, and that one gets changed. The name gets changed around, the wording gets changed around. So always be on the lookout for that one. That is a real nasty one that gets in a lot of foods. Another one is modified cornstarch. If you see anything like that, you definitely want to stay away from that. So when I've been at the grocery store the last few months, if I found these big jars of salsa and they're cheap, price per pound, price per ounce, and the ingredients seem right, then I just go ahead and buy them and put them on this shelf for salsa. Salsa just is one of those, it's a mood lifter, guys. Taco night is just great. Chips and salsa is just great. It feels like you're having a party, and that's really important when we're talking prepping as well, is keeping the morale of the troops is really, really important. So that's pretty much all I can say about this shelf here. I do have just down here, there's just a couple random things down here that's just some pre-made, like I say pre-made as in I made them, just some beef chili over here, some elderberry syrup that's a couple years old, and some onion jelly that's a couple years old too. So they're just some random little things that didn't have a designated shelf. Anyway, on the bottom shelf here is our honey, and that is our honey supply for our family. So that is definitely a prep. I would highly recommend whatever sweetener you use for your family, go ahead and try to find ways to buy that in bulk. And when I say buy it in bulk, shop it out price per pound or price per ounce. Sometimes buying in bulk is not the best deal. Sometimes you can buy it in smaller bags or containers and it actually comes out being cheaper, but shop it out, shop around, shop 2 or 3 or 4 places, compare your prices, know your prices, keep a notebook and be up on that. But for our family, one of our main sweeteners here on the farm, because of our honeybees, is honey. So prior to that, it was maple syrup, and we used to get a really great deal at Sam's Club. I don't know the current price of it right now. Maple syrup at Sam's Club, just in the regular bottle containers, came out to be really, really cheap for us in the past. But now having the honeybees, we do the honey, so that works out good too. And then this shelf and this shelf is inventory for our website. This is just some buckets for honey supplies. And then over here are all of our homemade soaps for our soap business. So here also are my canners. I love keeping all of my canning equipment in my pantry ready to go, and I love my Nesco Canners. I'll try to leave a link for you below. Sometimes they're available online for sale, sometimes they are not. This brand is Nesco, and it also goes by the brand Carry. They're the exact same canner, and I absolutely love them. So these big white cabinets we got years ago from either Home Depot or Lowe's. They're just cheap cabinets, guys. They're just big, cheap cabinets with shelving inside. We've used them for different things in the house over the years. They've been all over the place, but recently, this past week, I brought them in here. I put them back to back, and I absolutely love having them in here. This one is designated to bathroom supplies, power outages supplies, and just basic household maintenance supplies like filters and things like that. So that's what all of this is, and it's all nice and neat and organized, and I'm just so tickled to death about it that I actually have bathroom pantry storage space. Is like a big win for me. So I'm going to take you over to the other side and talk to you about some of the big bulk purchases that I'm going to be making coming up really soon. So let's start on this shelf and this wall, and we'll move our way back, and I'm going to be sharing with you some of the purchases that I'm going to be making moving forward. Grab yourself a notebook and a pen, because you might want to jot some of these ideas down. These are going to be talking about basic, purposeful, whole foods. And if I buy something that you don't buy, one of these products, you're going to replace it with whatever product your family uses for that food category. So let's just start here at the top, and you will remember that this whole shelf was filled with coconut oil, and I have 1 jar of coconut oil left in my stock supplies. I have 1 working jar in my kitchen right now, but we are totally at a place with coconut oil where we need to restock up and resupply. So this is a time for me to reevaluate now. Do I want to bulk stock up on coconut oil? Is that going to be our oil still moving forward in our house? At one point, coconut oil was our only oil that we used in our whole house. Now we do use olive oil and avocado oil as well. So I need to sit down and reevaluate health-wise and all of those reasons why I'm going to choose an oil to stock up. And is it going to be coconut oil moving forward, or am I going to go ahead and stock up on olive oil and avocado oil as well? So whatever oils you use for your family, make sure you're doing it purposefully. Make sure you know why, the why you're doing it, the what is in it, what does it do, what's the health benefits, why are you using those oils that you're using in your house. So that is an important thing. Over here, this little section is our coconut milk. And we buy this unsweetened coconut milk. We use it for making ice creams and desserts and different things like that on some recipes. So this is deemed the coconut shelf. Right here is the baking section, and it's just flours and sugars and baking soda, and anything that you might need baking related is going to be in this section or in this section. I don't really need anything right now to order for baking supplies. We are totally good on that. Moving on to my containers, I have this first container full of sugar, and we use raw sugar here at our house for baking purposes. So this container down here is empty, and I would ideally like to have 2 containers full of sugar for baking purposes, so that might be happening in the future, is a bulk purchase of sugar. Next up is my brown rice and wild rice mix that I have, and you'll notice I have the date on here that I put it into this container because generally speaking, brown rice, this was a sprouted brown rice, and wild rice too, it doesn't stay as long as fresh. It can go rancid over a long period of time, so I have the date on it so that way if we're coming up on a year's time with this, I know to go ahead and make it a priority to get this used up so nothing goes to waste. Down here is our white rice. White rice, on the other hand, stores for a long time if stored properly. So this is a white jasmine rice. It is organic, and I've just been really happy with it. Rice is one of those things that is so multi-purpose. You could use it to make rice pudding, which is a fabulous prepper dessert. And you can just use it in so many different meals as well, Asian meals, and just rice and vegetables, soups, so many different things. And it's so cheap, and it's really good for you. So that's rice. When you're shopping for rice, make sure that you're shopping out price per pound, price per ounce. That goes without saying for all of these things, as well as make sure you're buying the healthiest thing that you can afford for your family, because nothing is more important than your family's health. Don't forget those rules, even when it comes to prepping. Next up is this big container that says tapioca on it, and it is empty, my friends. We went through our big giant bulk bag of tapioca. It's probably taken us a couple years to do that, but it is empty. So I am at a point and a crossroads of, do I want to order more tapioca? And I'm going to tell you, no, I am not going to be ordering more tapioca. So this container is going to be designated for something else, and I have to figure out what that something else is going to be and go ahead and fill that up. These 2 containers right down here are full of oats, and oats are another thing. Oats are another thing that are really important in your prepper pantry. This pantry that you see here is a working pantry, meaning that I come back here every single day, I open up these containers, and I work from my food preps. These containers are airtight, they have gamma seals on them, they have scoops in them, each one of them, and I can take some oats out of here, pour it into a pot, and I can make my children their oatmeal for breakfast. We also use our dry oats for our oat milk, and I will leave a link below right in the very top for our Mayonnaise machine, and that is our milk machine, and you can make any type of non-dairy milk that your family enjoys in your Mayonnaise machine, and we absolutely love our Mayonnaise. We did have the almond cow before. We do prefer the Mayonnaise to the almond cow machine for several different reasons, and it's very well made machine. So our oats are not just for oatmeal, but they're for granola, they're for our milk. I look at this as a dried stored milk source right here, and they're just used for desserts, for cookies, for baking, for making flour, so many different things you can do with oats. It's limitless, and it's a staple for a big family prepper pantry. What this is, I need to redo my labels. Beans! This one's beans. I need to get out my label maker and redo these. So beans were a new thing this year that we added to our pantry, meaning that we added several different varieties of beans. Beans are a great protein source, and these are Goya beans. I chose Goya, the brand, for a few different reasons, and I found the best deal for these online, but you might be able to find a better deal local, so shop it out. Especially with beans and rice, shop it out, because you might really be able to get a better deal buying smaller packages local than buying in bulk. But these navy beans are wonderful because they are just so multi-purpose. You can use them in so many different ways, and we are really excited about our navy beans. Moving down here to our all-purpose flour. Our all-purpose flour that we have landed on finally after a couple years here is our Pamela's all-purpose flour. I use it for making our breads and just for baking and different things like that. I use the Pamela's all-purpose flour. I do buy that in bulk from Pamela's. I can try to leave the link for you below. You get free shipping, and all of her flours in bulk are the same price per pound or price per ounce. Down here it just says beans, but this is my black beans down here, and this container is totally filled up. And then over here are my pinto beans. And my pinto beans, I just stored them the same way. I know some people ask, do you take them out of the container? Do you pour everything in? Some things I pour in, and I'll add a couple bay leaves to it. Some things, if it's already in a package, I just prefer to just work from the packages, just because that's easier. It's really your own preference what you do, whether you take them out of the package or leave the package in. I've never had any problems with pests in this pantry or getting into any of my food, so that has just never been a problem for me. These airtight Gamma Seal containers really seem to just do a great job for a working pantry, which is what we have. In here is my red lentil pasta. We absolutely love our red lentil pasta, and I get it most of the time from either Amazon or Walmart online. That's just the best price that I've ever found, price per pound or price per ounce for it. And this is one of those things that it does come in generally in boxes, and I do empty it out because when I make pasta in the evening for my family, I usually figure out about a cup of pasta per person. That usually makes us a couple meals or more of leftovers, and so I just prefer it like this, that I can measure it out and scoop it. But red lentil pasta is absolutely on my list of things to restock. And the reason that I prefer the red lentil pasta is, number one, it's gluten-free, and we're a gluten-free family. Number two, we don't prefer lentils. Now, maybe your family loves lentils, and that is wonderful. If you love lentils, buy and stock lentils at all costs. But for us, we wanted to have a pasta, and we've tried many, many different types of gluten-free pastas. This red lentil pasta is by far our favorite, and it really holds together nicely, and we like the taste of it, and it substitutes stocking up on just lentils. We're still getting our lentils, which is high protein, but it's coming in a pasta form, so that's a win-win for us. This next shelf here that I'm going to talk to you about is tuna fish, and tuna fish is one of those big staples that I would recommend. If you don't like tuna fish, then skip it or replace it for something else. Maybe there's another type of canned fish or canned meat that you prefer, but for our family, tuna fish is just an easy go-to meal. If you are looking for a quick, easy lunch, you want to put some of it on top of a salad, or just have it plain or on a piece of toast, or it's just easy. It's just a really easy, great protein, and most prepping books and manuals will recommend tuna fish. So I would really like to see tuna fish stored like 3 or 4 deep here and have this shelf totally full. It'll be a project for me to get this totally filled up with tuna fish, but I love that we have designated this shelf for it, so that's what that'll be moving forward. Next up here is peanut butter. Let me grab one of these little babies because peanut butter. So I'm going to talk to you about my peanut butter journey. So peanut butter is one of those things that is highly recommended in a pantry. All moms that don't have kids with peanut butter allergies will attest to the fact that peanut butter is where it's at for fast, easy meals. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, peanut butter. Power goes out, peanut butter. Snacks, carrots and peanut butter, bananas and peanut butter. I mean, celery and peanut butter. It's just peanut butter, okay? If you have a child with peanut allergies, then you'd probably do almond butter or some other sunflower butter or something like that. But you can replace your peanut butter shelf with whatever substitute you use for your family. I used to make peanut butter way back in the day when we started prepping. I just prepped peanuts and then I would just make peanut butter on demand for my kids when they needed it, throw it in a food processor for a minute or less, and you can put cinnamon in it or you can put a little honey in it to sweeten it, and there is nothing better than freshly made peanut butter. It's so easy. The caveat is you cannot store endless amounts of peanuts because nuts are one of those things that they have to be stored in the freezer. It takes up freezer space. If you just had nuts stored in a pantry, they're going to eventually go rancid because of the oils in the nuts. So I would be a little leery of storing up like 50 pounds of peanuts at a time. But I'm saying all that to say, we have made our own peanut butter fresh on demand. We also tried powdered peanut butter. This, let me grab some right here. We went through a time where we did this naked peanut butter, and this is really great. It's powdered peanut butter. There's nothing in it but just peanuts, and it's just really, really awesome if you're looking to use it for smoothies or if you're using it for baking, like for making peanut butter cookies or things like that. We do enjoy this. I just don't know that this is the best price option for a large family that goes through peanut butter the way that we do. And my children don't prefer the powdered peanut butter. They prefer the jarred peanut butter. So for that reason, we stopped buying this peanut butter. But that could be an option for you if you're looking for making a shelf and designating it for peanut butter. I would recommend trying out a little bit first and making sure that you like it, bake with it, test it out. If it's your thing, go with it. And if it's not your thing, you haven't invested a whole shelf worth of it. And yeah. But our favorite, easiest go-to peanut butter is just a peanut butter similar to this that's just 100% peanuts. That's what I look for when I'm looking for peanut butter. I don't want any extra added oils or sugars or anything like that in my peanut butter. I just want peanuts. I don't even necessarily prefer that there be salt in it. We stocked up on this probably about 6 months ago, and this shelf of peanut butter was full, I would say almost too deep of peanut butter at one point. And we have gone through it. So that's how much peanut butter we go through in our family. And our favorite peanut butter that we have found price-wise and ingredients-wise is our local brand at our grocery store at Brookshire's. We absolutely love their peanut butter because it's simple ingredients and it's available and the price is right, but it has not been available for about 6 months or so now. So I got this and I stored up on a few cases of this online, and it was an okay deal. It was not as good as our local store deal, but we are really at a crossroads. I can tell you, when it comes to peanut butter, I really don't know what I'm gonna do. The only thing that I can think to do at this point, there's lots of other natural peanut butters that we have tried and we like. And if you have a favorite one, leave it in the comments for me below and I will check it out. But I'm looking for a price point. I'm looking for a certain price point, and I'm really thinking that I'm going to have to go back for a little while until our local grocery store is able to resupply the peanut butter again. I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to go back to my roots, start my journey over on my peanut butter, and make peanut butter on demand just from peanuts. So that's what I need to price out. If y'all got a good bulk peanuts deal for me, you let me know, because I have not shopped bulk raw peanuts in a long time. I don't want roasted ones. I just want raw, unsalted. Let's see. I'm going to go through this real quick. Up here at the top is vinegar, vanilla, some Worcestershire sauce, some soy liquid aminos on the top. Also back in the back is some liquid smoke. Over here is some apple cider vinegar. We stocked up on that. Some different sauces are back in here, like some teriyaki, a few bottles of that. Some mustard is here. One little jar of barbecue sauce. That's that shelf. It's just kind of like ins and odds and odds and ends. Odds and ends. It's odds and ends. Sorry. My brain. It's a lot of food, guys. Next up, the shelf that is available next is our jam shelf. And we are finishing up on this delicious lemon marmalade, and we have another kind of marmalade in here too as well. And we have been enjoying that. But my plan is to make some fig jams and some peach jams. Our fruit is coming on really nicely out in the orchards, so I'm planning on filling this up. I would love to see this like 3 deep in homemade jams. This will be awesome. So that's my goal for this shelf. Down here is a big old bucket of quinoa, and when I buy quinoa, I prefer to buy either the red quinoa or at least tri-colored quinoa, because it has red quinoa in it. And different quinoa, colored quinoa, has different health benefits to it, but the red quinoa specifically is good for fighting cancer. So I just add a scoop of that too. Like if I'm making rice or soup or different things like that, I just add a little scoop of quinoa in it. It's so good. And there's so many different recipes and things that you can do with quinoa. I love it as a prep. It's high protein and it's very healthy for you. So that is that. This one says cashews, but I'm curious. It's not cashews. It's chickpeas. It's chickpeas. So this is something big that I added in the past few months, were chickpeas. Because why chickpeas? Chickpeas are what some people would consider a superfood. They're definitely a wonderful pantry staple. They're high in protein. You can make hummus with them, which is pretty much limitless. I mean, you can make chocolate fudge hummus if you wanted to. So many desserts you can do with chickpeas, especially if you're dairy-free or gluten-free. Chickpeas are kind of where it's at. You can make sandwiches with it, with the hummus, just so many different things. Or you can just cook up a bunch of them and serve them as a little side throughout the week for your family meals. So that's why I chose to invest in chickpeas. What you're going to notice is missing in the pantry, for those of you who have been following us for a little while, are cashews. So we are kind of on a big decision-making crossroads here with cashews. We've had cashews consistently in our life now for almost 4 years, I guess we're going on, since we've been dairy-free and gluten-free, and we've had all the health challenges that we faced. Cashews we use in our cashew cream sauce, and we use cashews usually on the weekends. We splurge and make cashew milk, but one of my children is very sensitive to cashews and it actually makes him sick, so I can't make the cashew cream sauce for him anymore. And then I have another child that just does not prefer cashews. He doesn't like the milk, He doesn't like the sauce. He just doesn't like it. So I think we're kind of at a decision-making place with cashews where we're probably going to change gears a little bit and probably try to substitute it with almonds and just enjoy almond milk as our go-to. So I'm at a place of pricing out raw unroasted almonds too, just to have something special. And then we'll be playing around with our cashew cream sauce recipe. We're still going to be using it. We really enjoy it, but I do have a couple people who don't. So we're kind of right there with the cashew thing, which is a good and bad thing because cashews are expensive. So that's that. Next up is popcorn. This big container is full of popcorn. Popcorn is one of those super preps. It's just a great, easy dessert. When you're lazy and you don't feel like making a big dessert, popcorn's where it's at. You can season it and do all different things with popcorn and really just make it your own. Down here is more Pamela's flour, but this Pamela's flour is different than my other bread flour. This is her pancake and dessert flour, and it is fabulous, guys. We've only had it for a little over a month now. All of her flours, when you buy them in bulk, they come in at the same price point, but this pancake and dessert flour does not have sugar in it like the bread flour, and it has almond flour in it. So a lot of like my cookie recipes and bread recipes and things like that, like my pumpkin bread and things like that, turn out really, really good with Pamela pancake and dessert flour. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Just another container of our red lentil pasta and another container of oats down there. And I think that's pretty much it. This is coffee. We're running a special coffee sale. Make us an offer. Make us an offer we can't refuse on coffee, and we will send you some coffee, guys. We got just a little bit. We try to keep some in stock, so that way the favorite ones that get ordered pretty often, we have them here ready to go out, so we're not always waiting on our supplier locally here to have to bag up our coffee and everything for us. So these are here ready to go to y'all. But anyway, and then up here are our homemade candles, and then up here is just some packaging stuff and things like that. But like I said, these shelves are going to be getting moved out, and that's going to open up a world of opportunities for me in my pantry. So I'm really up at the tippy top are all of my spices. We are totally good on spices, guys. We don't need anything there. And this shelf here, I did not talk about, is my mayonnaise. And I do need to order some more mayonnaise, so that will be coming up here pretty soon, because I'm about maybe a quarter full here on mayonnaise, and I like to be all the way full on this shelf with mayonnaise. So you can see I really need to stock up. What I need to do is I need to go through my list every week and pick those 1 or 2 bulk items that I'm going to put in my pantry that week. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Have a budget for your weekly groceries, have a budget for your bulk pantry groceries, and shop them out. Get them now, get them in your pantry, and you will be so happy and blessed that you did. It's such a wonderful feeling to not be so dependent on the grocery store, and having a full stocked pantry is just a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So do what you can with what you have, where you're at. We're so glad that you joined us today. I am so thankful to have you all in this community and as part of our YouTube family. Remember to love your people, guys. Remember to do all the things. Rejoice in the Lord always, because He is so worthy of our praise. And we will see you right back here next time on the farm. Bye, guys.